Blacking out. I started blacking out, yeah. I started losing my car, started not knowing how I got home, and I lost my mother's car a few times. And that was like mortifying. I felt terrible that, what the hell? She had to go to work, and she didn't know where her car was, and neither did I.
Yeah.
So it was a shit show.
Yeah, I recall losing my car quite a few times and just like wandering around, making phone calls.
Yes.
I ended up having to put a air tag on it after a while.
Yeah, of course. That was pre that, but
Yeah.
I remember just, having my friend drive me all around Des Moines looking for my car, and it was a disaster. But I was dating, some older gentleman at that time who was about 10 years older than me. And then he started drinking. I was trying to match his drinking. He drank a lot. And that's kind of what fueled and kicked into gear the heavy drinking era of my career. My 7-year drinking career. It was like, I did like 30 years of drinking in 7, I always say. Yeah. I really did it out. But I would drive and drink all the time. Yeah. All the time.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Sober Strong Apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're part of the crew that doesn't back down. Every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities. Hit SoberStrongApparel.com and use code ROCKBOTTOM at checkout for 10% off. Stay sober, stay true, rep the crew.
All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with Julie today, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her background and her relationship with alcohol back in the day. And Julie, would you like to introduce yourself and kind of tell us where you're from and all that?
Sure. I'm Julie H., or Jules, a lot of people call me. I live in Chicago, Illinois. Have lived out in San Diego for a while, but right now I'm in Chicago. And grew up in Des Moines, Iowa.
Awesome. So what is your sober date? I know you said it was...
March 6, 1989.
Wow. Okay.
I looked it up. I've been sober 13,149 days.
Jeez. All right.
Wow. I had to look it up. I'm like, is that right?
I've been sober. I have the sober app, and it says I've been sober 419 days. So I got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it's people like yourself, where I just hear about all these years of sobriety, and it's like you're still putting in the work every day. You're still
always.
Even just doing this podcast, I'm like, it's amazing you still talk about sobriety and you're all about it, and that's huge. Awesome.
If I wasn't in the solution, which is recovery, I would not be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
At all.
And and then towards the end of the show, I'll definitely ask you kind of like how you do it and what got you here, and like any stuff that, obstacles along the way and how you handled them. So to start, did you mind kind of telling me go back to kind of day one in general and your childhood, what that was like and what started and when you had your first drink and all that?
Sure. Let me go back to, in the time machine, 64 years, as a matter of fact. I know I don't look it. But anyway, I'm the youngest of 3 children. Parents were married until my father passed away when I was 18. And my father was an alcoholic. He used alcohol. It was always Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it was be fine because he was working. And then I'd just start again Thursday through Sunday. And I just hated Thursdays. Wow. I was not looking forward to Thursdays. And I, as a kid, when I would walk home from school, in grade school, I would go by where he drank at this bar called Christopher's in Iowa, in Des Moines. And I would look for his car. And if I saw his car, I knew it was going to be a terrible night.
So
and it was just heartbreaking. And when I didn't see the car, I was relieved because I know that the night was going to be okay. So my childhood, he drank through the whole thing. He never came to one event that I was in everything. Like, I'm one of those kids that I want to be in everything. I want you to come see me. My mom came to everything I was in, orchestra, band, singing, theater, you name it, I did it. And my father did not come to one event.
Can I ask what form of alcoholic was he? Was he kind of not present? Um was he more like out there drinking, like more socially, or just drinking at home and kind of just unapproachable?
He was kind of a combo. He would
Okay.
drink at the bar after work during the week, like Thursday, Friday, and then the weekends would be drinking at home. And then it was just a disaster. I remember as a kid, if he wasn't home, I knew that something bad was going to happen. And usually his friends were, carrying him basically up the driveway because he couldn't walk. He was so drunk. And
Wow.
how mortifying and embarrassed I was. And also just sick to my stomach that no, this can't be happening again. But it did. It repeated all the time. So yeah, he was not there present for me at all. And my older brother and older sister, he really treated them way worse than he treated me. He beat them up and yelled at them and, that kind of stuff. And he did have a violent tendency when he was getting angry. He would yell at you and sometimes he might hit you. But other than that, that's the violence part. But that's enough. Verbal violence is terrible.
Yeah. And
It will
emotional
mess with
abuse.
your head. So he continued that, went to junior high school and then to high school. And I was a goody two shoes kid. Like, I'm not going to be like my dad. No way. I'm not drinking. You do drugs. Ooh, you're bad. You're a druggie and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I just said, I'm not going to do it. So in high school, I stayed away from drinking. I stayed away from people that drank and did drugs. And then when I was a sophomore in college, my dad developed liver and bowel cancer. And he was dead within 6 months. Dead pretty fast. And he was he was in World War II. He was a Japanese interrogator, and he was in Nagasaki where they dropped an atomic bomb. So a lot of that radiation was in he had radiation, from that bomb, plus
Yeah.
the drinking like he did every day.
Brain chemistry was all.
Oh man. So it was really sad. He did kind of come around at the end, and apologize. And I think he probably felt like his life was over. Obviously, it was at 60. He died, and it was just sad, a sad time. And I know he probably knew he wasn't a good father. And I would seek out other families in the neighborhood I look for other dads to kind of help father me.
Yeah,
So
I did
I was
something
lucky enough to do
similar
that.
growing up. I was in kind of some complicated households, and I realized looking back, I used to stay at friends' houses who practically temporarily adopted me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can totally relate to that.
I'm sure the families probably knew that poor thing.
I know. I can only imagine
It
what they were
just makes
thinking
me
because they
sad.
had their parents together, no alcohol problems, no nothing, and it's like they have this kid coming in. They're like, "No, you can stay longer," because they knew
Yeah,
about my situation at home. So
I know.
yeah,
It's so sad. It makes me want to rush in and help you
yeah,
as an adult,
I know.
rescue the little child there.
Yeah, and they did that, and I'm fortunate. I wish, I should go back and thank them because I'm very grateful that I had those opportunities and when I was in difficult situations. But
Absolutely.
sorry to cut
I
you off.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was at about 12 years old. I was really fortunate to meet my neighbor and her husband. Her name is Bev, and she was an advertising executive. And she mentored me, and she would take me to the theater, and she would take me out horseback riding, and all this great stuff. And then she moved away to Kansas City, but then I stayed friends with her, and I would go to, she would fly me down there to stay with her and her husband, and she always has been a mentor of mine, and she's my mentor now, and she is 79. And she's been a big influence in my life. She doesn't drink or anything like that. She, so I was seeking out other parental figures to help parent me. Absolutely.
Okay, and that was at you met her when you were about 12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So she was
And
around 29
yeah.
or 27 or something.
hmm I did that with some teachers too in junior high. My one teacher, Mrs. Danielson, who I'm still friends with, she parented me too.
Oh, that's great.
It
Yeah,
was
I
yeah.
developed a relationship with my principal at my at my high school, and we developed a friendship. And he'd call me into his office a few times a week just to check on me and see how everything was going at home. And it was
Oh,
just like
yeah.
all those things made a difference and played a role in like. I know I still resorted to alcohol for a long time. I know I still had my sets of issues, but like I still look back and I'm like, if those things didn't happen, I could only imagine if I'd even be alive right now.
Oh, I
Just
know.
those people that just stepped in and made a difference.
Right, if those adults didn't see that you were struggling
Yeah.
and you needed some love.
Yeah, and it all counted. But I mean, we're still kind of bred to to struggle a little bit, which we did. But I mean, it's still looking back, it's still grateful for all of that. So
Me too.
yeah,
I, did not drink, as I said. I, had a boyfriend in 12th grade. He was in 11th grade, so that was a scandal, but he drank, and I always was like, yeah, I didn't like that. So, that didn't last very long, but needless to say, my father died, and I went to work part-time at night cleaning a doing like cleaning the bathrooms and vacuuming a insurance company in Des Moines. And then I went to school at Drake University full time during the day. And I worked my way through college. And I didn't have time really for drinking. I was just, working and going to school. And then sometimes I would go out, but maybe for a drink. So that's when I started drinking in college, but maybe a drink or nothing. I wasn't interested in it. And that went on until I graduated from college. And then I went to work for a radio station and television station in Des Moines, called WHO. And when I got to that job, I worked like the afternoon shift. So I would be working like the afternoon drive time, and then radio was big. It's not as big as it used to be, but people used to like go in and listen to it was talk radio, and we had a talk show and guests on every day, and it was fun. But that's when my drinking started.
okay.
When
How
I
old were
when I
you at
started
that point?
I was probably 21,
Oh, okay.
22, yeah.
Pretty common time to start drinking, but yeah, it's also like the atmosphere where it's just encouraged, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was party city over there.
Yeah.
It was encouraged. I know that so we had an AM radio station and an FM radio station. And so I was friends with the girl that did the FM at night. She played the songs and I did the talk radio. But we would buy a 6-pack from the, 7-Eleven and have it between us, and we'd drink while we were, in between shifts and calls and things like that. So that's when it kind of really started to get on the uptick.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then I started going to the bar after work because I would get off at like 10 o'clock at night. So I would go to the Greenwood Lounge, a dive bar.
Oh, I love dive bars.
Oh, me too. They're the
Yeah.
best. And I used to go there every night. That's when I started drinking, it just started progressing. That I would drink a lot, like lose count drinking.
Yeah. No, okay. So would you black out a lot of the
Blacking
time?
out. I started blacking out, yeah. I started
So
blacking out. I started losing my car. Started not knowing how I got home.
yes.
And I lost my mother's car a few times. And that was like mortifying. I felt terrible that, what the hell? She had to go to work and she didn't know where her car was, and neither did I.
Yeah.
So it was a shit show.
Yeah, I recall losing my car quite a few times and just like wandering around, making phone calls. I ended
Yes.
up having to put a air tag on it after a while.
Yeah. I was, yeah, of course. That was pre that. But
Yeah.
I remember just having my friend drive me all around Des Moines looking for my car. And it was a disaster. But I was dating some older gentleman at that time who was about 10 years older than me. And then he started drinking. I was trying to match his drinking. He drank a lot. And that's kind of what fueled and kicked into gear the heavy drinking era of my career. My 7-year drinking career, it was like I did like 30 years of drinking in 7. I always say I really like, did it out.
Yeah.
But I would drive and drink all the time.
Yeah.
all the time. And when I was about 26, I was dating somebody that lived in like Iowa City, which was like 2 hours away. And I was drinking then, and got pulled over for driving on the wrong side of the highway.
He's
Yeah.
So you got a
And
DUI?
the consequences started to start up.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I mean, I was in a blackout, and I didn't know what was going on until I like sobered up in the jail.
Yeah. That's what happened to me in my DUI. It was all a blur getting the whole arrest part and going through all the tests on the street and all that, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I come out of it a couple hours later in jail. I'm like, oh great.
Oh my God. And I had to call my mother because I was like 2 hours away from home and tell her that I was in jail. And she didn't get mad. She just was like, shit happens, you're going to have to figure it out.
Was your relationship with your mom pretty good throughout that? I
Yeah,
should ask that
always.
earlier.
She was my best friend.
Okay.
My mother
Awesome.
was my best cheerleader, confidant, best friend ever. And she passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry
And
for
she
your
didn't drink
loss.
very much. She would have a beer once in a while,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my
So
mom and I are very close too.
you are? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
She actually got sober around the same time I did, so that was
Cool.
always good. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
my brother is sober now. So my brother, my sister-in-law, myself, we're sober. My sister-in-law has been sober like 45 years. I have 36. And my brother has about 30 sober years. So it's kind of it's a family disease for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it is.
I remember my brother and I, when my dad used to go on these rants and rages, and we would run under his bed and hide so he wouldn't get beat up. I mean, it was just like those kind, like that makes me so sad that was my childhood, just being scared to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just wrong, and makes me very sad. I want that part of my life back,
Yeah.
to redo.
Definitely. Yeah. So
But that'll, yeah,
so you were working at the radio station and drinking started to pick up. It started off slow, I assume, like it does with most of us.
yes,
And then it just gradually got out of control and you got the DUI for driving the opposite direction on a freeway, which I've heard of that happening to quite a few of us alcoholics.
yes.
I've done the same thing. I didn't get caught, but I was talking to a friend like 2 days ago, and he said he did the exact same thing and like was so disoriented that he didn't really know like where he was, what he was doing. Never
Oh
got
yeah,
pulled over.
totally.
Then I guess, yeah, he ended up pulling over into a random place and just going to sleep in his car or something. So
Gosh,
yeah,
I remember that the sheriff that arrested me said, you're gonna have to stop drinking or you will die.
yeah. Yeah, and then it's like you already knew that you had a problem just based on that
Right.
one experience. Yeah, it's pretty
I
crazy.
So I got myself out of that one. Had to go to court, and I had to go through a treatment program. And I was about 27 or 8, and it was a 6-month outpatient treatment program, 30 days every day, and then 6 months of out, like every Wednesday. And I did not drink while I was going through the treatment program, but afterwards, when I graduated, I started drinking again. So I was drinking, 30 days after that, and was getting worse, aggressively worse. And I was unhappy at home. I was unhappy because I lived in Des Moines, Iowa. I didn't want to live there. I wanted, it's a small, big town. I wanted to be in a big city. I wanted to have, normal relationships with people, normal, love interests, not a bunch of disasters that I had attracted in my life at that point.
Yeah,
So it got progressively worse. And I remember the March 6th of 1989, I went to my friend Stephanie's house, and I had a drink with her. And then I decided to go out on my own. I mean, then I went just out. And that was that night I went. I have no idea how much I drank that night. I used to write checks,
yeah.
That's when you would get them back and you could see your check. And I couldn't even read my handwriting. That's how like messed up I was.
Jeez.
So
Yeah,
God only knows, the behaviors. I always think about, the blackout years. What were we doing? Like, where's those memories?
I
Where
know.
are those memories?
I know. I drank for 17 years, but like there's about 10 of them that I just can't recall what I did, conversations I had. Apparently, I was in relationships I don't know I was even in. I just,
My God.
yeah, gosh, I received a message from somebody a few weeks ago, and I've been talking about something on this podcast about, going through this certain phase in my life where I lived in a certain area, and this person called me out and just said like, "Hey, you didn't mention anything about this or that. You said you were like, single the whole time or this and that, but like I thought we were in like a full relationship." I was like,
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but I don't recall any of this. And maybe at the time I was aware of it, but I just don't remember certain details now. And it's really
Oh, I
it's
lost you
really
there for a minute.
scary, and it makes me feel really bad because it makes it seem like I didn't
You
appreciate
there?
those moments. So yeah, so you got the DUI. How long after that? Because when I got a DUI, I didn't learn my lesson. I literally, when I walked out of jail, the person who bailed me out, I had them pick me up at a mini mart so I could go get drinks
For
afterwards. So
sure.
like, yeah, so I had to get, drinks at 10 a.m. to just kind of ease the mind, and continue my problem. And so how did you respond to getting the DUI, and like, what was your life like after that? Did it take you
Yeah.
a while for you to?
I wasn't an everyday drinker. So I was like a Thursday through Sunday drinker and at night. So I didn't drink during the day, hardly ever. But when I got out of jail, and I was just devastated and embarrassed, and I just, had to drive back to Des Moines, and I drove back 2 hours, and took the day off work and just hung out with my mom. But it didn't stop me from drinking. I started, I drank when I graduated from the outpatient treatment program. I was drinking. I would drink.
So it's like
So like,
you were still drinking, and then did you have to do like UAs and stuff, and then we're just kind of not drinking the day before those or
no, I never
something?
had to do that. They didn't do it then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right. And
so I just, yeah, they believed you. And I never was, under the influence when I was at a meeting there at the hospital outpatient.
wow. So how long into your drinking did that DUI happen?
That was probably 5 years into my drinking.
Okay. So you drank for another couple of years after that
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. It got progressively worse. And on March 6th, 1989, I was by myself drinking, who know I have no idea where I was. But I remember going down the freeway, um, and that's kind of like, it was kind of sleeting, and it was about midnight. But I drove my car off an embankment, and my car went down this embankment and I totaled the front of my car,
Wow.
totaled the whole front end. And I don't know how I walked away with nothing happened to me, not a scratch.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the phone call, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"What the heck? How did you total?" I've never heard of anybody totaling a car and walking away
Yes.
from it. So
I
that's
couldn't believe it. I mean, that was a God thing. I mean, that was my dad looking down on me. Didn't want, I think my dad didn't want the same calamities to happen to his little girl.
yeah. I mean, even despite you guys not having the best relationship growing up, do you think in his mind you still feel like he wanted the best for you and had good
Absolutely.
intentions? And yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he did.
good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I was his favorite. I'm the little girl, I'm the baby. And, he would, like, I needed a tennis racket. He bought me a tennis racket. If I needed something, he would buy it for me.
yeah.
But he
That's,
didn't really participate except for, buying
so
me the golf clubs or whatever.
when you look back now, you don't feel like a ton of resentments. You just kind of know that he struggled with an issue that you were able to relate to eventually, and
Yeah, I had to do
understandable.
some, I mean, I did adult children of alcoholics meetings early on in my recovery because I had a lot of hatred and resentment towards my dad. He just left my mom and I like in poverty when he died. He had no life insurance, and it was just fucked up.
Jeez.
So yeah, so I had a lot of resentments. I had to work through that a lot with therapists and sponsors and going to ACOA meetings and AA meetings and just
Wow.
really kind of coming to grips with that. But he did have the disease of alcoholism, and it presented itself in a lot of the same ways it did for me.
Yeah. Well, that's so what happened those last couple of years after
Oh
the
man.
DUI, and then like
Yes.
kind of what led up to like that last 24 hours of drinking, and how did that go? What was going through your head,
Yeah.
and like how did you stop?
I remembered I was just really unhappy with my life. I hated it. Wasn't happy romantically. I wasn't happy with my work. I wasn't happy where I lived. I was in love with somebody that lived in Chicago. I was just down, down, down in the dumps.
Yeah,
So I was, out drinking by myself. I would go to every kind of bar. I'd go to gay bars, straight bars, wherever I could drink, you know,
yeah,
whoever would serve me. And I
exactly.
remember getting, taken out of bars because I was so drunk.
Really,
You know,
just
just being, at this one bar in Des Moines, I remember the next day that they had brought me home and, because I couldn't drive.
jeez.
So,
I don't want to bring it up any
yeah,
too sore of subjects, but like,
no,
what
no,
were
no,
your relationships like? Say, like dating and stuff like that. How are those? Were they toxic relationships because there were drinking involved, or how do those go?
they were a mess
Yeah,
because of me.
yeah.
The people that I had relationships with were not alcoholic. I was the alcoholic, and I was ruining the relationships.
And how would
My
you say you were
behavior.
doing that? Like you're getting blacked out and you just weren't present, or were you doing and saying things you regretted later, stuff like
I
that?
don't even remember the stuff that I did.
Jeez, wow.
Except for losing the cars and who knows what kind of behavior. I went to this Christmas party when I was at the radio station. And my brother came with me, and I was so tanked up, and I had to go on the air after the holiday party. I have no
Jeez,
idea how I made it through. I couldn't even remember the code to get into the building.
wow.
I mean, I was so messed up. And
So
my grandmother
did
heard me on the radio, and she's like, "Are you okay?"
alcohol cause the job change? I mean, did it affect
Yeah,
your
it really
career?
forced. I mean, I didn't get fired from that job, but it kind of forced out.
Yeah. Then was
And
that
yeah,
part of your recovery, was transitioning your career?
no. Then I went to work for an insurance company in their marketing and department, and bought all their marketing and things like that. And I progressed, and that's when it really went downhill.
Okay.
I
So
drank a ton.
how much of the drinking would you say was happening like alone and stuff, or like how much of it was not social and just where you found it socially acceptable, even though you took it to another level and went too
Right.
far? When did you ever catch yourself, drinking pre-funking for things you didn't need to? Like me, I was at my worst. I would have to drink just to go run errands. Like I did it ever get to that point with you, or was it mainly like you were just getting blacked out at
Just
parties
getting
and stuff?
blacked out. I would go out drinking. I would want to go to a bar that I knew who the bartender was, and I knew who that I could meet, so Joe Smith or whatever, and he'd be sitting by me drinking
Yeah.
all night long. So I
Oh
knew
yeah.
the people that I was with.
So it's like a comfort zone,
Comfort zone,
codependency
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
totally get it. That's why I'd end up at dive bars too, because I'd be like,
Yeah,
hey, I don't care if it's 3 in the afternoon or midnight. There's going to be some guy I recognize there to sit next
totally.
to and pound shots with and not feel bad about myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and I
Exactly.
totally get
Y
it.
The night that I ruined my car and crashed it, etcetera, I got myself I climbed up out of that embankment, and, somebody came by that saw me drive off, and they were shocked I was alive.
Wow.
And the guy, I swear he was a guardian angel. He got me in his car, he took me to a gas station, and, I, called my brother, and my brother and my sister-in-law came and got me, and then we looked for my car, and it had already been impounded by the cops. So
Jeez.
we went to the impound lot, and I got my stuff out of it. And my brother's like, I can't believe you survived this. He was shocked.
Did you ever get pictures of that car?
No,
Ah, jeez. I was like, I would
I
love to put
know.
that up on the episode because I'd be curious
Ooh,
to see what it is.
I'd have to take him with the old time camera. That's before we had cell phones. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's Yeah, I just don't know, like, everybody I've heard that's gotten into an accident when drinking, like, I have a friend in high school who's paralyzed from the waist down to this
Oh my
day. I have
God.
friends who died in an accident. That's like, geez,
Yes.
to be able to walk away is quite the wake-up call.
It's a second chance.
So
Yeah.
is that kind of the last time you drank, or what happened after that?
Yeah. So that was the last time I drank, March 6th, 1989. The next day, um, went and I had a little wire hair fox terrier dog, and I took him walking, and was walking by myself and I started crying and I just said to God, I'm like, I cannot do this anymore, God.
Yeah.
You have got to take this away from me because I will die. You need to help me with this drinking. And that was like the spiritual awakening for me was
Yeah.
that moment.
Wow.
And I
So
really felt like a lift, like a total like release.
really,
Yeah.
okay. So the next day, for instance, like what did you talk to your family? Did you reach out to friends? Did you tell anybody like, hey, this is
Yeah.
done, I'm done with this? Or how did you go about
I
it?
told my mom. Then was in the treatment, the every Wednesday I would go. And I met a lady named Dee, and I asked her to be my sponsor. She was an older gay lady with her partner, and she said yes, she would sponsor me. And we did the third step prayer that, and when I asked her, and she just really like took me under her wing and worked with me and just mothered me and parented me, trying to help me figure out, why I have this disease and how to handle it and how to live my life with it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a progressive disease,
It
as we
is.
know.
It is. It is. It is. I know that for a fact, just based on how I started out, just social drinking in college, and how I went off on my own and then started drinking by myself more, and then started to rely on it more, started waking up with the shakes and started drinking the
Yeah,
mornings. And it was just like, how I was when I was 25, I was actually functional. But then how I was at 35 was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't even put my contacts in without a drink. Like
yeah,
it was just like, oh my God, it really progressed that bad. Even if I drank the same amount for that amount of years, it just
right.
took over. It's like, it's frightening. But
It
sorry, I
totally
cut you off
is.
again.
Oh no, you're fine. It's so true. It is a progressive disease. I was lucky enough, and I was willing. And here comes the whole crux of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous: willingness.
Yep. It's a
I was
great word.
willing. I didn't want to be like this anymore. I didn't want to live like this. I didn't want to hate myself like this. I knew that there was more to life, that God had saved me for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that was. I still don't know, but I'm trying to figure it out. I think part of my purpose in life is to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. And that's one of my purposes in life.
Yep. Just like the preamble says,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm big in AA as well. I
Hmm.
chair meetings every Wednesday, and
Yeah,
my mother chairs the meeting today, so she chairs on
cool.
Fridays. So we're a big part of the program, even together. And a lot of people think it's really cool that mother and son, do AA together and stuff. And
I love it.
but it's like when I went in, I just remember like the first I know it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but I still don't feel wrong talking about it on the show because,
No,
to each their own. I
yep,
don't mention names or anything. But
no,
when I first walked in, it was just like I saw these like depictions of it on, on the media or like on movies, and it just looked really
sure.
depressing and stuff. And then when I walk in and there's just like all this laughter and people are joking and laughing it off when they're talking about these stories that were so depressing. So when I walked in the first time and I'm like, my face is beat up because I had not a car accident, but falling down the stairs accident,
Yeah,
concrete stairs. So I was beat up and just miserable coming off of alcohol, just hated myself. And I was just like,
yeah,
why are these people laughing? And then I saw somebody collect like a 30-year chip or something. And I'm just kind of like, and they're still coming here. Like, really?
right.
I thought AA would just be something you do while you're quitting or something and then just move on with your life. And then I started to realize, I'm just like, this is a really powerful room.
Oh, yeah. I remember going to my first AA meeting, and I felt the same way. I felt like, wow, I belong here. Like, it finally felt like I belong somewhere.
Same. Yes, it gave me confidence and comfort in my own skin, and it helped me open up about things that I never thought I'd open up about. I
Hmm.
mean, not just in the rooms, but just like becoming more honest outside of the room, and just like
Absolutely.
and owning a lot of my faults and talking about sore subjects that I thought I never would. I would have never started this podcast if it wasn't for what I've learned in AA. And it's like, and all the friends I have now, they're generally 90% of them are part of the program. So
Absolutely. Mine too.
yeah. And it's
Yes,
just,
definitely.
it's an incredible. So besides getting into a program, what other work did you do? How did you get into your career now? Can you kind of
Yeah.
explain that?
Sure. I moved to Chicago at 6 months sober because I was in love. I moved here. I moved to Evanston, Illinois, which is a really nice suburb of Chicago. It's right by the lake. I'm 4 blocks from Lake Michigan. It's beautiful. And I went to work at an insurance company and I got a low level job paying claims. Kind of went from there. Then I met a headhunter and he got me into sales. And then I got into the sales aspect of big employee benefit plans for large corporations. So their health insurance and all that, life insurance. I would sell them the health plan. And then I became an insurance broker and made a lot of money, a lot of contacts. And then I was kind of burnt out on insurance companies. So I felt like, what can I do to help the hospitals? Because that's what's hurting in our society are the hospitals and the patients. So I went to work for a company that sold products to hospitals to help them with their financial problems. And that's what I do to this day. I'm a consultant, and I help the hospitals with financial problems, and it trickles down to helping the patient, because the patient, if you get bad debt and it's hospital bad debt, you're probably going to go bankrupt. It's that dire
Yeah.
a mess.
Jeez. Okay.
So
So
yeah, it makes me sad.
how many years have you been doing this now?
I have been doing this job for 25 years.
Okay. Do you think it played any role in keeping you sober? Like this, the work you do and how you, or just kind of like any career could have kept you sober, but this was kind of just because it seems like it's very unrelated to obviously to like working for the radio and stuff. So
Yeah,
like,
totally.
and insurance and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a touchy-feely, I'm gonna help you, person who's struggling financially and mentally or physically. So it does have a bit of that in it, that caring aspect that
Yeah.
I can actually see a impact when I help a hospital with their financial problems, because it trickles down to the patient.
It's really cool. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I do. I think that I have worked at my recovery. If I didn't have it, I would not be here right now with you. I'd be dead or
Yeah.
unalive or whatever you want to say.
Same here.
But I would not be here right now if I didn't embrace it with all of my whole body and will and mind and help from God and my family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's definitely saved my life.
How have you kind of dealt with certain things? You were really close with your mother. She passed away 10 years ago. How have you dealt with grief and like obstacles
Sure.
when they come up sober?
Yeah, I have learned and gotten, how do I want to say this? I have learned through difficulties and grown up in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have become an adult and have learned to deal with these tragedies, losing a job, losing a parent, losing one of my best friend, passed away a couple years ago. Devastating things have happened to me personally, and just going and working my work, network of people in the program, and talking to my sponsor, and um, putting together a game plan, and really thinking about how I'm going to handle these situations. And they hurt. I mean, losing my mom hurt. Losing my best friend Mary hurt bad. Uh, but and losing a job, that hurt my ego bad. But just dealing with that, and it's not something that I can just like snap my fingers, and I have to work at it.
Yeah.
I have to work at it.
Oh,
And
completely
I have to ask
understandable.
others for help.
Of
I
course.
can't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
You can't do this on your, it's the we program. You can't do it on your own. You got to get
Definitely a
help.
we program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. I learned that when I started going to AA for, I did this kind of not 90 and 90, but like it just so happened to be I relapsed after 90 days, like a year and a half ago or something. And I gone to the program, gone to the meetings, at least a few times a week, if not 5 days a week or something. And then I started, the the most important things I didn't really listen to were reaching out for help. And once I started to mentally struggle, I just did what I usually do and I isolated.
Yeah.
So I forgot to ask for help. I forgot to call people. If they called to check on me. I kept my phone on do not disturb. It
Yes,
was
of
just like
course.
I did it all wrong. And then ever since I've been sober this time for going on 14 months soon,
Awesome.
in about a week, and I'm just kind of like I already even when I'm having a half bad day, I make a phone call. Even if I don't talk to them about what's going on, I just at
Right.
least call just to feel the support from people, and
Absolutely.
just to have a conversation or say, hey, can I want to go get coffee, or hey, you know, can you come help me with something? It's just like
Right.
nice to have that community. And I find that not only in AA, but I'm finding even on social media now, just like
Yeah.
having a page revolved around the podcast and recovery. It's like everybody's on the same page. Everybody's there for each other. Even if we don't know each other personally that
Right.
well, we're still like a support system. And
Absolutely.
it's amazing. So,
You don't know. It's like it's a ripple effect. Like when you throw a rock and it skips the water and how it just ripples and what you do has an impact on others.
yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
I take it seriously. I just feel like it's a second chance in life. I want to help other people and I want to help myself to get better too because I'm not a healthy, I'm still working on myself. I go to therapy, I'm a psychiatrist. I do all those other extra things too to
That's what
really,
I,
work on myself.
that was my next question.
Yeah.
What are the other things that you practice in a 24-hour period that you think contribute to your recovery even this many years later?
Yeah. I still do my readings in the morning. I do a 4 o'clock TikTok, recovery TikTok with the ladies.
Okay.
So we do I'm on there at 4 a.m. every morning. I still work with others. I have sponsee. Now, I have had times when I haven't worked this program. Like I've been sober a long time and I've had, relationships that have taken over my life. And I walk, I kind of like get away from going into the program, to the meetings and stuff. And then I'm feeling like there's something wrong, they're missing in my life. So I go back and recommit myself
Yeah.
to AA. So it's an ebb and flow. And it's been the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow. That's powerful words there. Okay, okay. So what is to kind of start closing up? What are like some pieces of advice you'd give to people that are sober, curious, new to recovery, even in recovery, things that some advice you'd like to give and your
Sure.
perspective on what it's taken for you to be in recovery for so long and with no end in sight. So,
Yes. Don't give up. It's not easy. It, it's a big commitment to stop drinking and to go in a recovery program or some other kind of program. It takes time to work on yourself. There's a lot. We're damaged, and we just don't get well overnight. It takes time to feel better. So don't think it's going to be miraculous. You know, your life is going to go, I'm free. Everything great is going to happen, but it takes time. You have to work at it. It works if you work it sober. That little saying, you have to put yourself out there. You have to go to the meetings. The meetings aren't going to come to you. So you have to actually make an effort. This is your life that we're talking
yes,
about here.
yes,
So you've
and
got to make that effort. And it's
yes,
easy. I isolate too. I still isolated, at 36 years, I find myself like, I am not going out. No, I'm
yeah.
going to stay here and watch TV.
And sometimes that's okay to protect yourself and put that guard up and just be in your safe zone. Like, I don't see anything
Yeah.
wrong with that sometimes. It's just as long as you don't do it to the point where you get in your own head and you're not reaching out to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I have a sponsor still. I've always had a sponsor in my life. That's been really important to me to have that person. I've had women, men, gay women, anybody, I've had everybody to be a sponsor to me. They've all been fabulous. They've all helped me stay sober and work the steps. And I still work the steps. You just don't do it and you're done. You got to
Yep.
do it every day.
Yep.
You have to be ingrained in your life.
Yep. It's, yeah, not just the one day at a time, but just like, yeah, we do have to practice everything every day. Like, it's
Mhm.
a full-time job
Right.
altogether. And
Yeah.
sometimes I catch myself forgetting that every now and again. I need that reminder, and that's
Yeah.
why I have to go back to meetings to remind myself. And
Sure.
just going like to LA recently. I just got back a couple of nights ago, and I was just kind of like alcohol was everywhere, and I'm not used to, because I'm in my hometown here. I'm just like, it's pretty easy for me to just avoid places where there's alcohol if I feel like avoiding it. But when you're on a vacation and it's like the people next to you are drinking screwdrivers at 9 a.m. and then you get to restaurants to eat, eat food out, and then you're, they just look at you funny when you're not ordering a drink at noon. I'm just kind of like, they're not getting as much tips, I guess, because I'm not drinking. So maybe they just, so there's all these pressures. And then I stay in a hotel where there's a full bar, not even locked up, just right there in front of me. And I'm kind of just staring at it like, I don't want it, but I'm like, Jesus, the temptations are just thrown at you sometimes.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And then
it's in movies, TV, everything. Everything you look at has some liquor or beer commercial or innuendo in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. It's celebrated. But as I've mentioned in other episodes, is like I'm noticing little by little that recovery and sobriety are becoming a little bit more popular, seems, with time, and people don't frown upon it or think you're weird for not drinking or whatever. Now it's kind of like, oh, good for you, so.
Yes.
And some of us, learned the hard way, and we had to quit for, various reasons. But some people, I feel like, are either quitting early or just not letting it take over their lives at a young age. Like a guy I talk to on a regular basis now, he's been sober 3 years and he's only 20 years old. And I'm just kind of like, you might be missing out on a lot of fun years in your 20s, but at the same time, I'm like, Jesus, if I could have known this when I was 20 and handled it then, would never know what I would have accomplished. But I mean, it's better late than never, of course. But it's just, I'm glad sobriety is actually becoming something that's, people look up to you, people are proud of you. And and with that, your relationships are better, your friendships are more authentic. It's just
very much
so many rewards to it, so.
Totally. It's been the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. So what, a couple of other quick questions, and if they're too hard to answer, I totally understand, but I just thought about them just now. But like, what would you say to Jules back in, the mid 80s? What would you tell her?
Well, I would say, why are you so sad? What is going on? What's hurting you so much? What can I do to help you? But I couldn't stop Jules from drinking.
What would Jules have said, do you think? What was hurting her?
Just unhappiness.
Yeah.
Not like being from a poor family, wanting what other people had, just all that projection on others.
Yeah. I agree. This might be another difficult question if you don't want to answer, but what would you tell your dad now after all you've learned in your recovery and your sobriety and how you've gotten over those resentments? What would you say now?
I would say, I understand you. I am your daughter. I'm just like you. I understand you have a disease and you didn't mean to do the things that you did. It just is part of the disease. And I forgive you.
I love that. I think listeners will find that really helpful, because I feel like forgiveness and getting over resentments and, making amends and all that stuff is such a difficult part of recovery, because we have to face these things sober. And sometimes it takes us longer than others. But just hearing you say that just like really shows that like you can be understanding, and we do learn and mature in our recoveries, and we learn to understand why people were the way they were, and I had to do the same thing with my mother and father and to get over some resentments. And I still am to this day kind of getting over some things, but I would never have been able to do it had I still been drinking. It's
absolutely.
So it's great to hear that.
I really appreciate you having me on. Loving the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being on.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.